It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranoid.
Where will we go next? As phantoms from another time.
No one but tomorrow.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Cryptid Campfire. Sitting across from me is
Eli Watson.
and to my left is,
Jasmine with.
and this is Alex Daikaiju, and today's topic
Is Cryptid Campfire.
That's our
Covering
name,
the Yeti.
Eli.
haha.
Covering the Yeti.
It is official cold weather time, so we're going to be talking about the coldest cryptid of all time, the Yeti.
Is it colder than a polar bear's toenails?
Sure, why not?
All right, then. I just got my stamp of approval.
So, where should we start this bad boy?
Well-
There's a lot
Yeah,
to...
what is a Yeti? What is it the same as a Bigfoot?
No,
Oh.
Eli, I'm so glad you asked. Because
Wow.
listen to this. The Yeti and Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, or maybe you could reverse that. Sasquatch, also known as Bigfoot.
Or
They
Squatch?
are not the same thing.
Ooh.
The biggest difference being that the Yeti lives in cold areas and the Bigfoot Sasquatch lives in warm areas. And the term for Bigfoot actually showed up in 1958 when some dude found some footprints by his tractor or bulldozer or something like that. I think it was a bulldozer.
Yeah, yeah.
And when he was interviewed, the person labeled it Bigfoot, but the Yeti is something entirely different. Again, being because the Bigfoot shows up in mild climates in North America, and the Yeti is an Arctic creature of Asia that is usually described as looking more like a bear than an ape, which is what we've heard about Bigfoot in the past. And that's the difference between the Yeti and Bigfoot, guys.
Yeah, some kind of giant bear-like creature in the Himalayan mountains, primarily. And they might even be magical or possess powers, magical, mystical powers.
Yes, because its origin can be traced back to pre-Buddhist Eastern civilizations.
Oh, yeah? Well, guess what? I want to talk about some of those abilities, those magical ones.
Oh, okay.
Because according
Trusted
according to Wikipedia,
Wikipedia.
so
source.
I googled Yeti, right? And the Wikipedia article comes up with a cool little picture of the Yeti, and it says abilities, right? It says attacks, eats anything.
Oh, okay.
That's amazing.
So those are
It's
the...
like me and the Yeti have that in common.
I actually didn't use Wikipedia this time.
Oh.
I gave myself a boundary and was like, Jasmine, do legitimate research. Not that Wikipedia is not legitimate research, Eli.
But basically, she's calling you out.
At this time, I tried to stick. I've got some sources from the BBC, and I've got
Ooh,
some
the
sources
BBC.
from National Geographic. You know, getting a little scientific
Ooh.
Mhm.
up in here. But yeah, being a magical being is something that comes from the early indigenous people of the Himalayas. And for anybody who is geographically challenged, like myself, the Himalayas are the mountain range that go from east to west, from Afghanistan through Pakistan to India and into Nepal, Tibet, and through Bhutan. I think that's how you say that one.
Bhutan, yeah.
And ends in Myanmar?
Oh, yeah, I think you
Myanmar.
said it. Yeah, yeah. But here's
We're
something.
officially naming it Myanmar now.
Myanmar. What's interesting to note is that I guess there's sightings of the Yeti all the way up in Siberia,
Ooh.
which is like not even close to the Himalayas. So
Interesting.
So it's like a Russian Yeti
a Russian Yeti.
in Siberia, right?
Yeah,
Drinking the vodka.
all the way up in the Gulag.
Ooh.
You know, people are getting frozen out there, but I guess the abominable snowman's doing all right.
He's
so.
just chilling.
Speaking of the abominable snowman,
Oh.
that is a term that was coined in 1921 by a guy named Henry Newman, and it was due to a mistranslation. Did you guys find that in your
Yeah,
research?
so
Mistranslation of what?
So Go ahead, Eli.
Okay.
Take it
Well, some context, like you said, Newman guy. They're crossing Lakpa La,
Lakpala.
and they find these giant footprints, and he said that they're probably created by a large loping wolf that caused double tracks, so it looks like a human foot. But the Sherpa guides said it must be the tracks of the wild man of the snow. And then when you translate that from Tibetan, it translates as man-bear snowman. But of course, he mistranslated man-bear as
Filthy.
filthy. And then just decided filthy is close enough to abominable. So yeah, that's why we call it
the filthy snowman.
Yeah.
That's crazy, because I found that Yeti was a Sherpa word for wild man. The name was derived from Yete, literally that thing over there, which is a Sherpa's expression. When they're just going up and down the mountains, they're just like, Yete, the thing over there. But also, Yeti is a Tibetan word or name meaning magical creature.
Interesting, because my source, which this one was one of the ones that maybe wasn't too scientific, but I read that Yete means small man-like animal.
Oh.
Apparently none of us know Tibetan.
So apparently.
More mistranslations.
Yeah, it's
for
just
the
like
Yeti.
a really, really epic telephone game.
Yeah, let's have a repeat of our last episode.
Either way.
Yeah, you know what?
Abominable.
Basically, aliens ended the Bronze Age, is what I'm trying to say.
Let's
from
not
the
revisit
future.
that. I think there's too much PTSD with the Bronze Age.
Right.
guys.
But one more little fun name thrown in there is one guy. I'm sure we'll get into the expeditions and all that.
Yeah.
But 1832, B.H. Hodgkins. Well, I think we'll go talk about him. But one of the names that came up was Rakshas, which is Sanskrit for demon. When the Sherpas would describe the thing, like what he was looking for. So there is just a heck ton of names.
And who is this again? Hodgson?
Hodgson, yeah, in 1832.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
So-
wild.
So we've talked about the many, many names of the creature formerly known as the Abominable Snowman.
So what does the Yeti look like?
Oh.
Well, there are some disagreements.
Basically,
There is a lot.
I got basically every color but white.
Yeah.
It's like
But the thing is, when you Google
it
the
comes
Yeti,
up as white.
all of the pictures are white.
If you type in Yeti, you get the one from not Space Mountain, the Matterhorn from
The
Disneyland,
oh, yeah.
where it's like long hair with red eyes and like blue skin. But some of the descriptions I found was like red colored a lot, like mostly red, brown, like
Brown.
like everyone like sees it like it stands out like really predominantly in the snow.
Right, which wouldn't make sense,
No.
but hey,
Yeah,
you know what?
when I Googled the images, literally every picture of the Yeti was a creature with white fur. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's what I picture. And so when I started reading all of these descriptions saying that the fur was dark red or gray or brown, I was like, what?
Yeah,
That
the
doesn't
heck?
sound
What?
right.
Yeah.
So but I guess we can all agree that it's some kind of
It's-
large bear man, possibly ape-looking thing.
Right.
6 feet tall?
6
Is that
feet.
about right? That's
I
what.
got a bunch of different heights.
Yeah,
Really?
So, yeah.
It's so inconsistent.
It really is. But as Jasmine brought up, and then we kind of skipped over, I did want to go back to the pre-Buddhist beliefs
Yes.
about
Okay.
a Yeti.
Yeah.
And so, the Lepcha people
Mm-hmm.
worshipped a glacier being
Yep.
as
Ooh, I
god
got
of the
that.
hunt.
Yes.
God of the hunt.
God.
And the ruler of the forest's creatures.
Oh, that's a new one.
Oh, wow. And then there's the Bon religion, but it has the two dots.
It's the
over it.
umlauts. So I guess you would say Bon?
Bon?
Yeah, I guess is how you pronounce it.
All right.
If it's the umlaut, because I don't know why
I don't know.
a Tibetan pre-Buddhist religion would have German umlaut.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's a whole nother...
Germany will come up later, guys.
Oh,
so let's
man.
put a pin in that.
So we'll save that for a later episode. But continue.
Yeah, they had some mystical ceremonies, and some scholars believe that they used the blood of the wild man in some of these mystical ceremonies.
Ooh, very
I
metal.
also have one more, because if I don't come to it now, I'll never come back.
All right.
So, oops, it's here it is.
Hmm?
So this goes into Edmund Hillary. We'll get into him later.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, yeah.
But
He found some fun things.
Oh, yeah.
from one of the Sherpas, apparently he heard of the Nyalmo, which is
The
he was
distant cousin of Elmo.
kind of, except it's giant sized, about 20 feet tall.
20 feet
What?
tall Elmo.
A man like Harry, and shakes pine trees to show its strength, while other Nyalmos sit around and clap their hands.
Oh my god. That is amazing.
So yeah, that's what he heard from the Sherpas. But
Damn.
That's interesting. One of the interesting things that I did find being... So we've said already that they worship this glacier being, saying that, you know, it's one of the hunting gods and the ruler of the forest creatures, which sounds like a good thing. Like you think, oh, we're worshiping this god because it's going to provide us
It
with
sounds like a
food and stuff.
campaign in like Skyrim.
It sounds positive, when in reality, most of the folklore depicted the Yeti as like a dangerous creature. So its origins are in the folklore. It's an ancient and important part of the legends and the history of the Sherpa, which these communities lived at an average altitude of 12,000 feet in eastern Nepal. I don't know if you guys read about that. But there was this guy named, I'm telling you, shout out to all of these people with hard to pronounce names that I will get criticized for at some
This one
point
goes
in
out
my
to
life.
everyone with a really hard name.
Shiva Dekal? Does that name sound familiar to you guys?
I'll just call him Sheev.
Shiva. He collected 12 traditional stories in his book Folk Tales of Sherpa and Yeti. And in these stories, the Yeti... Why are you laughing at me, Eli?
Do it. Do it.
because
Do
he
it
said
now.
Sheev.
I said what?
Sheev Palpatine from
Sheev-
Star Wars.
He's the Senate.
Anyways, the Yeti's always a figure of danger. So
He's always got a leather jacket on and smoking a cigarette.
it's so interesting to me because he's supposed to be this thing that they worship and that they respect, but at the same time, like, he's dangerous. But I guess that the key purpose of these stories was to provide motivational and moral lessons. So, like, they warn the Sherpa community about approaching dangerous wild animals, and so that kids don't wander far away. Like, oh, don't go out too far. Like, the Yeti might get you, or something stupid like that.
I don't know. It's like, I feel like if you were to wander too far away, hey, you might freeze to death. Might also work too.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's interesting too, is because you mentioned it's like the duality. It's like, oh, he's like the glacier being, and he's a guy of the hunt. He's like woodland critters, but also he's dangerous. But like that's kind of like in a lot of religions, to where it's just like, hey, like Greek mythology is like, oh man, the gods are like, hey, they're blessing the harvest.
Yeah.
But also like, if we do anything wrong, they're gonna smite us.
True.
Like. I mean, even like Christian religion and everything, it's just like, hey, like God loves you and you're awesome, but don't go on his bad side. He'll like wipe you the heck out. So it's kind of interesting how it's like a weird duality in a lot of different religions.
That is also true.
And if it's offensive, you can tweet us at Cryptid Campfire Podcast at
gmail.com. Yeah, you're gonna tweet us there?
Yeah, send us a tweet on the whole interwebs.
Let's not get into that.
The webosphere. All right. Where were we?
We're
We're
good.
talking about the Yeti. Also, though, because we've got the Yeti in the ancient folklore and the worshipping and whatnot. So that leads me to believe that there is only one Yeti. Like, it is the Yeti, one Yeti. But we have all this, quote, evidence and all of these expeditions and all of this, quote, proof that make us wonder, oh, if it's a species or if it's a type of animal that lives.
There's many multiples.
Yeah.
Many
I mean, we
multiples.
just heard that there's the one that dances and everyone else claps around him.
That's
So-
true.
Well, that's that's not the Yeti, that's the Nyalmo.
Oh, he's a distant cousin.
Yeah, probably. So
Well, I mean, because they're saying, like, the Yetis are red, so, like, Elmo's red, so...
I don't know what color.
I
he
tell you,
is.
the tangents that we end up on.
Yeah, those are. You come for the cryptids, you stay for the tangents, and then every so often we'll cover the Bronze Age.
1899. Let's fast forward there.
1890.
Lawrence Waddle.
Lawrence Waddle made his way up the Himalayas.
Actually, can we rewind for just a quick second all the way back to 326 BC?
Time's arrow marches forward, Jasmine, never backwards.
Did you know
Hey.
Alexander the Great?
Hey, time is an illusion.
Wait. Alexander the Great?
I am right
Alexander
here,
the
what?
Oh,
sorry.
Alexander the Great apparently demanded to see a Yeti when he conquered the Indus Valley in 326. But according to National Geographic, local people told him they were unable to present one because the creatures could not survive at that low of an altitude. So
Wild.
that's how far back we're going.
That's amazing. He's like, give me a Yeti. I want to see a Yeti. Make it dance for me. I'm like, they can't survive at this altitude. He's like, then I'm going to conquer the mountain.
All right, so let's fast forward to your friend Eli. What's his name?
Lawrence Waddle. He waddled his way up to the Himalayas.
No, I actually don't recognize this name, so this is somebody that I didn't read about.
Yeah, he,
Old Waddle.
well, here it is. So, he's found some footprints. His guide said that it was caused by a large ape-like creature, but Waddle thought it was a bear.
Yeah, he concluded it was a bear.
It was a bear, but,
He interviewed, I guess, a few people.
did he?
Yeah, it said after being told a story, he kind of interviewed, but he just kept getting like, my friend of a friend saw the Yeti, or the guy I know who knew a guy. So he just kept getting. He never got a first-hand account. He always got like a he said, she said account of the Yeti.
Gotcha.
So I think that's what led him to conclude that it was a bear.
Mm.
And if I may be so bold to rewind the rewinding.
Oh no.
There's the 1832
Right.
expedition.
We touched on that a little bit, right? B.H. Hodgson.
Yeah, it was in northern Nepal. He actually published. I think he's the first published account of the Yeti, and it was in the Asiatic Society of Bengal.
The Asiatic Society.
Asiatic, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one. But I guess he might be maybe the first recorded report of a Yeti.
All right.
But he concluded it was an orangutan.
Yeah, that.
Which
Well,
is
yeah.
confusing.
Here I have this little story here because apparently they were going down a mountain or something, and they spotted a bipedal creature covered in long dark hair that ran away from them.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, obviously that's an orangutan."
Oh, and that that's where the Rakshis Sanskrit word comes from. Is from B.H. Hodgson.
Huh.
Because all the Sherpas were telling him that's what it was called.
Sherpa Kerpa.
Sherpa Kerpa.
All right.
That's.
But enter the 20th century,
Ooh.
and people want to climb mountains.
Yeah.
So I'm going to N.A. Tombazi.
Just so you know, we're gonna rewind again.
What?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Do
What-
we-
What
We're
more?
gonna go back in time and we're gonna shoot our own granddad.
Well,
We're time traveling so much.
I just have a very interesting fact that I came across this
Okay,
morning, and I
okay.
don't know if this is the point where we should talk about it.
You know
if
what?
we're trying to go chronologically, then maybe we should.
You know what?
Well-
Chronologic is out the window.
At this point,
You know
this
what?
point, yeah.
And the next story is gonna be in 3000 when the Yeti gets
So-
elected president.
So, do you want to talk about the Nazis now?
Ooh.
What do you, how long ago was that?
1938.
Wow.
I went to 1925.
No, you didn't. You said
I-
43 or something
well,
like
I
that.
said-
I said the
technically-
20th century.
Technically, Nazis
1925.
could have had time travel powers. So.
Yeah, technically. We'll get to the Nazis.
Yeah.
Alright. That's fine.
We're almost there.
Almost.
Jasmine.
Oh boy, that's.
We're only-
It's like everyone get excited.
You
for
gotta
this.
listen longer, guys. Sorry, we're not
Here we
talking
go.
about the Nazis just yet.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm talking about N.A. Tombazi, which
Okay.
kind of rhymes with Nazi.
Nah.
So
and his NA stands for not available.
not available Tombazi. Okay.
All right.
Well, apparently he observed a creature from 300 yards away, exactly like a human being walking, but it was only for a minute, and it was upright and then it stopped to pull some bushes, and then stood up again and walked away.
Yeah, it was gardening.
So, oh yeah, and then 2 hours later, he and his homies saw the prints, and they describe it as similar to those of a man, but only 6 to 7 inches long by 4 inches wide.
That is interesting, because...
Did you get something else?
Well, no, I was going to say, because make note of that footprint.
Because it's small.
It's a tiny baby foot.
Yeah.
So the feet are inconsistent, too, because all the footprints and stuff range in different size.
Right.
And texture sometimes, too. Sometimes they're, like, more bent inwards, sometimes they're more outwards, and sometimes they're, like, wide.
Oh.
That's one of those things I found is just, like, the footprints are all over the place when it comes to Yetis.
Yeah, that's also true.
But so that's the first, I guess, real footprint, and it's kind of tiny.
Yeah. But then you fast forward to 1937, you got Frank S. Smythe, who took a photo of some footprints.
Oh, yeah.
They just look like footprints in the snow, so...
The most famous footprint that was photographed, I believe, was in 1951. Correct?
Yeah, by Eric Shipton.
Yeah.
And Michael Ward.
And they were both with Edmund Hillary, who was the first New Zealander to climb. I think he was the first person to climb Mount Everest.
He's the man who climbed Mount Everest and liked it so much he did it a few more times.
Yeah, and he's from New Zealand. And he visited the Lord of the Rings set.
And he dropped the ring off on Mount Everest?
Yeah, he did. And it's like, there you go, Frodo.
This one's for you.
All right, so Nazis.
Oh, boy.
Because I got nothing on the Nazis.
Okay.
Yeah, this is...
Did you find anything about this, Alex?
I got nothing about
All
Nazis.
right.
I got another thing to go into.
Okay.
Here's the thing. The article that I was reading from National Geographic only briefly, like, it didn't use the word Nazi. It gave the guy's name. And the guy's name was Ernst Schaefer, okay?
Ernst
and
Schaefer.
So I looked up this guy, because the National Geographic article that I was reading basically just said, oh, this person who went on this expedition reached to the conclusion that the Yeti was in fact the Tibetan bear. And I was like, okay, well, let me read more about this guy. Turns out Ernst Schaefer was sent on this expedition. The official reason for it was zoological research.
Okay.
However, the alleged actual reason that he went on this expedition was because he was employed by the head of the SS Heinrich Himmler, a leading member of the Nazi Party of Germany, to search for the Yeti in 1938. Because, apparently, Hitler wanted to back up Charles Darwin by proving that the German people were descended from the Yeti, and that it was the missing link between apes and man.
Whoa.
Oh my God!
Right?
This is a little too much.
It's crazy.
This is the new Hellboy movie.
It's absolutely insane, and like I said, National Geographic only gave that brief.
They were like, we're gonna admit the whole.
Yeah, they just gave the guy's name and the year and stuff, and I did a little deeper digging on some other interesting websites.
Well, I know because there were some Nazis over there in Tibet. They were looking at the shapes of their like meditation bells.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they constructed a machine because like apparently that bell shape is associated with time. And so they theorized because they built that machine. It's called the bell. Mm. And then when the U.S. came in to seize it, it just wasn't there anymore. But then it shows up again in Pennsylvania like 20 years later. And like nobody knows how it got there. But like that's a whole thing. We should talk about that in another episode.
We'll save that for later.
But the Nazi thing
got you hooked.
That was definitely, like, when I read that, I was like, what? Like, that's one of those things where, you know, you're doing research on this creature that lives in the mountains. And the last thing you expect is to find out that Adolf Hitler apparently thought that Germans descended from the Yeti. But anyways.
Hitler's just like, oh, Himmler, I want you to get a Yeti for me. We are the proud German people, and we are descended from the Yetis. I want you to bring me one back, and we're going to strap some guns on it and send it out to the Allies.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
I feel like it's so dubious. I feel like he did not believe that. I feel like
Well, I mean, if Alexander the Great wanted a Yeti, I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Hitler was like, I want a pet Yeti too.
Okay.
So switching gears a little bit.
Ooh, yeah.
There's not much photographic evidence of the Yeti.
I don't think there is.
Just right?
The thing is, like, there was one photo that got a lot of attention. It was taken by Anthony Wooldridge. He was hiking in the Himalayas. He saw what he thought was the Yeti. So he took a picture of it, and people examined it, and they looked at it, and they determined that the picture itself was real. Like, it wasn't doctored, it wasn't changed or edited or anything like that. However, a year later, researchers went back to the same spot that this picture was taken at, and discovered that he had taken a picture of a rock. But if you go to Google Images and, like, after you get past all the cartoonish,
All the
white furred Yetis, like, there
the
is
fake
a picture.
propaganda.
There is a picture of what appears to be a Yeti, but it was proven to be a rock.
Really,
So
it's a really hairy rock.
It's not even hairy. It's just the way that he looked at it. It looked like it was a standing figure because it was. What did I read? There's a term for the kind of rock that it was.
It was an erect rock.
Well,
It was a rock lobster.
I can't remember what it is, but it's the kind of rock that, like, is on the side of a cliff, but it, like, sticks out a little bit more. So, like, snow was covering it, and you couldn't tell that it was connected to a bigger, like, structure of rock. But yeah, it was rock.
We'll track that down and throw it on the Facebook.
Yes.
And you can be the judge of it.
You want me to do that?
I don't think anyone needs to be the judge. It's a rock.
It's a rock.
It's a rock.
It's a rock.
I am a rock.
The pioneers used to ride these babies around for miles.
Well, I guess the next step, if we're going chronologically in any sort of direction, it's Edmund Hillary. We kind of talked about him for a little bit. Actually,
that guy.
Yes, and then we'll need to go away from Edmund Hillary and then come back. But
Yeah, see ya.
Because even though he's known in New Zealand as the man who first scaled Mount Everest, and to most people that's all he is, he is, to the cryptozoologists that we are, the man who first hunted the Yeti.
Ooh.
Yes. So him, Hillary, and his friend Desmond Doig. They led several quests to the regions of the Himalayas to find the Yeti. So, and then that's where he got the story of the Nialmos. That's where they got that picture Eric Shipton. I keep wanting to say Eric Clapton. It's just not the same person.
Eric Clapton is the one who took the photo.
And that gets us to the Pangboche Monastery.
All right.
Do you guys have anything about this?
Is this where the hand is at?
The hand.
The hand.
The hand. And the scalp.
The hand.
Don't forget the scalp.
I have another fun fact about the hand.
Ooh.
When we get, we
Does
gotta
it?
get to
Okay.
What?
I think I might know what it is. But anyways, Edmund Hillary. No, we'll get back to it.
Yeah.
We'll get back to him because I'm going
Throw 'em off
to
the
America.
mountain.
You're
For
getting
now.
too excited.
I am
Oh,
because
dude,
it's a lot
we're
of
getting
stuff.
good.
All right, so oil businessman Tom
Tom
Slick.
Slick.
Tom Slick.
Dum, dum, dum. I don't know if you guys knew this, but just real quick. Tom Slick is the name of a cartoon character.
Oh, is he?
From the same company that did all the old George of the Jungle.
Spit it out.
Hashtag Brandon Fraser.
Before that, there's like from the 70s. There's the 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
They used to have a companion piece called Tom Slick,
Okay.
and he's the best guy around.
Huh.
And he was like an adventurer who drove around in a fast car. And I'm wondering if that was like a name from Tom Slick, because this guy was pretty crazy.
Yeah, Tom Slick, oil businessman. Heard about it, and he was an adventurer, I guess.
Yeah.
So he
drank up all your milkshakes.
I don't want a milk.
I don't think he was that guy, but
It seems
well, yeah,
like
he's
it.
an oil, yeah.
Yeah, he's like
Slick.
an oil tycoon guy.
Yeah, he put oil in his hair and then slicked it back.
I'm an oil man.
Anyways, he heard about the hand. He found it and he took pictures of it in 1957. But in 1959, he funded an expedition to study the hand. But when they got there, the monks were all like, no, you can't study the hand. So, and here's the culprit, Peter Byrne stole pieces of the hand and replaced the missing pieces with human bones. I don't know where he got those.
Well, you know who else they enlisted?
Well, no, because
Yeah,
Peter
yeah.
Byrne took it to India, and there he passed it on to
James
Stewart.
Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart. Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart!
Yeah,
It's
so...
a Wonderful Life. The guy from Wonderful Life stole the hands. He stole the hand of a Yeti.
He didn't steal the hand. He stole a finger. In what I read, they didn't steal or take the whole hand. They stole one appendage.
Yeah,
Right.
but
and,
still.
And he smuggled it out in his wife's luggage in the lingerie section of her suitcase. And
Oh my God.
Is she
I
married?
can't
you have
believe
to, you
this
have to
is
put
real.
the finger in the lingerie.
I can't, like, of all the things we've researched thus far, this has definitely been the most unexpected thing. Like,
That's
Yeah,
so
this
true.
has
We
been
got-
a wild ride of
we
just
got
like
Nazis, we
Nazis,
got Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart.
Alexander the Great apparently is in
Alexander
there,
the
too.
Great. And what's crazy too is like there's another connection to Jimmy Stewart and the Nazis because he made the film The Day the Clown Cried.
What?
I don't know what
I'm
that is.
familiar.
It's this like famous lost film about this clown who gets taken to a concentration camp, played by Jimmy Stewart, and the movie ends with him dressing up as a clown and leading a bunch of children to a gas chamber.
Oh my.
No.
This is so dark.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Jimmy Stewart, why?
Jimmy Stewart was a weird guy.
Yeah, so that was.
Have you seen him in any of those Hitchcock films?
Ooh, yeah.
He comes off as a straight perv. Like, he
Really?
really does. It's pretty gross.
Rear Window.
Yeah.
And he's in
Vertigo?
that Vertigo.
Vertigo, yeah.
That's
Anyways.
Now back
Jimmy
to the
Stewart's-
Hitchcock Campfire. I mean, Cryptid Campfire.
Anyways, so they did tests on the finger and found out that it's actually
That
human.
somebody had pulled it.
So somebody
They ran extensive tests on the finger, and they found out that it had been a built-up of noxious gas within it, and that somebody had pulled it.
It was perhaps from a monk's corpse.
A monk's
is what I
corpse.
found.
Well, yeah. Well, apparently Peter Byrne cut off somebody's finger for no reason. So
Well, the article that I said said, oh gosh, there's so many names floating around in my head. I don't remember who is who, but whoever presented the human hand, whoever was receiving that human hand, didn't ask any questions. Like, they didn't ask where the hand came from. They just accepted that it was there and never found out where the replacement fingers came from.
I don't think he knew, because the hand's wrapped up, and so he unwrapped the hand, took the finger, replaced the finger, wrapped it back up, so they don't know.
The human hand or the supposed Yeti
What hand are we talking
I'm
about?
talking about the human hand. The
The-
one that was... I know they're both human hands. But
Well, spoiler.
what do you mean spoiler? We just told that.
What do you mean? So wait,
So
some
we
guy.
got the monastery hand and
The
the
replace-
Jimmy Stewart hand.
No,
That's
the,
yeah.
the Jimmy Stewart hand is the monastery hand because that's the one he smuggled.
Yeah.
Okay. He smuggled the finger, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm trying to
So-
say...
someone
Wait,
gave
I'm-
Jimmy-
I'm-
Someone gave Jimmy Stewart the finger.
Okay. Wait.
What I'm trying to say is that nobody knows where the replacement hand came from. That's all. I'm
Yeah.
trying
Oh
to
yeah. Wait, he cut
It's in his
somebody's
Somebody.
some other monk's hand.
Oh my God.
Well, turns out basically that's about it for.
That's one of the magical
Yeah.
artifacts.
Yeah, there was a lot of other studies done on other supposed pieces of
Like
evidence
scalps
as well.
and things like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
It turns out it wasn't
It was
really.
just Donald Trump's hairpiece.
No.
Josh Gates. Josh
Yes,
Gates went there, I
Destination
guess.
Truth. He's a great guy, you
You
guys.
think
I've
so?
talked
Oh.
to him.
Have you?
Yeah.
What?
We're chill. No, I talked to him on the phone once, and I met him in person once.
What?
Yeah, I have the hookup. Shout out to Amanda if you're listening.
Can we get him on the show?
I don't think I can pull those kinds of strings, but
Can we just?
I'm
call
gonna
him?
tag them. I'm gonna tag them.
all right.
What can we just like call him
It's too late.
and just be
I
like,
don't-
hey, we're on the podcast. We have some questions for you.
I don't
hang
have-
up.
I don't have his personal phone number. I was Amanda Amanda had her own kind of fandom podcast that she did on Blog Talk Radio, and she had him on as a guest and allowed me to be one of the people to call in, so that's why I got to talk to him.
Who's Amanda?
Amanda's my friend. She's from San Diego. I actually met her via the internet when she started watching my YouTube videos. The first time I actually talked to her, she reached out to me because she wanted to interview me for her podcast, and that's how we became friends. And yeah, Amanda's really cool. If possible, we'll link her information because she does a lot of fan work for Josh Gates and Expedition Unknown and things like that. She's really cool. She's helped me out a lot. So, again, that was a weird tangent to go on, but I figured I'd plug her because we were talking about Josh Gates, and that's the connection I have. She also has a book.
Ooh.
What's the book called?
The Fan Guide to Destination Truth. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I too am trying to write a book. It's called Cryptid Campfire.
Is it?
No.
Are you just now deciding that you want to write a book?
No.
The Cryptid Campfire, from the bottom of the barrel to the slightly higher range.
What it's gonna be is I'm gonna print out the sound files on a piece of paper and publish them into a book. So you won't be able to hear it, but you'll be able to see that we did indeed record something.
You could imagine.
You can imagine what we're talking about.
But
anyway,
going back to Josh Gates, his expedition was in what year? Was it 2007?
I don't know,
Whoa,
but he found nothing.
We jumped way ahead.
We did.
Well, is there something that we should talk about in between?
I mean, did we want to talk about the 1954 expedition more with Eric Shipton and Michael Ward? Or,
Oh well, yeah, because Edmund Hillary,
kind of the most famous one,
yeah, Edmund Hillary came back and he found the hand. He examined the hand and concluded that it was a hoax. And surprisingly, this was after the whole Jimmy Stewart fiasco. So,
oh, damn.
So he was indeed looking at a hoax. Yes.
But there's a lot of other evidence, because I think there's so many pieces of evidence and so many expeditions and so many like studies of stuff. But essentially, all of these pieces, because there was somebody who did like a main study, like they put out a call. Anybody who has proof of the Yeti or DNA from the Yeti, like send it to me and we want to study it. So they ended up getting like, what did they get?
Glitter bombs?
They got a bunch of just different things.
Inappropriate
Where's it at?
photos.
I can't do it. How did I lose?
I wanted to talk about one that was pretty wild. And
Okay,
this
go
guy,
ahead.
All right, we've already had a lot of wild stuff, so
but it's even better.
We tried so hard to we're trying so hard to get our podcasts to have structure and make sense, but clearly that's not working out this time around.
Well, this is so unstructured.
We have blueprints that were like designed by Dolly.
All right, 1986.
Okay.
Reinhold Messner.
Yep.
He claimed to come face to face with the Yeti. Not only that, he claimed he killed it.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. But
The Yeti came back.
and this is so disappointing because I don't know why he would say it was a Yeti. He said he killed a bear, and he said that the Yeti was just a bear.
Okay.
He said the Yeti wasn't real. But he leads with this whole, like, I came face to face with the Yeti, and I killed it.
And it was a bear.
It was a bear. Like, whack. You're whack, dude.
That was indeed wild.
Yeah, I was like, whoa!
Whoa! So, where were we?
We're in 2007 with Josh Gates.
Oh.
Finding-
It's not 2018?
Finding nothing. Finding footprints.
Finding
and
nothing.
all of the locals being like, dude, you've been here for a week. You don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh.
So that's essentially what happened
Savage.
in 2007.
Well, Russia keeps coming out with fake news about it.
Mm-hmm.
They said they had 95% evidence of the Yeti.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means exactly. And then a few years ago, they said they captured one.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out that's like fake too.
Yeah, because Russia's sent a few like scientists to try to find the Yeti.
NASA?
No, Russia.
Oh, I don't
They
know
might
where
as
I
well
got
be
that.
the same thing nowadays. There's been a few Russian scientists, like a Dr. Boris Porshnev. He was appointed the head of the Commission for Studying the Question of the Abominable Snowman. He went there. There was, I believe, Odette Chiternin was another one who like went trying to find the Yeti. So Russia keeps trying to find it.
Huh.
And I assume it's because they want to find the Yeti and breed it with humans.
And breed it with the Mongolian deathworm.
Ew.
Maybe. Well, because you know Russia was like on a kick to make human
Yeah,
monkey hybrids.
Yeah, I found something about that. It's
Yeah.
really weird.
Hmm?
It's really weird.
Oh, I thought you said that's really weed. I was like, what?
No. It's really weird, bro.
Really weed, man. Oh my god. But I mean, I would assume Russia. My theory is Russia wants to get a Yeti so they can start like mating with it and make
Ew.
better, stronger Russian soldiers.
That's so weird. I don't understand. It comes up with like everything.
Yeah.
But like people find something weird and they're like, I
Let's
should have
mate with
sex
it.
with
Yeah.
this. Like, why? Who just says that?
Furries.
Ew.
This is the whole.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
We are losing track.
All right.
Yeah, we are.
I was
off
trying
the
to say
rails.
earlier when I was trying to talk about the evidence. There was DNA analysis of multiple supposed Yeti samples, including hair, teeth, fur, and even feces.
Oh.
But all of these things were proven to be based on real animals that roam the high mountains. So that's what I was trying to get out earlier.
They
It's
found
just,
some Yeti guano.
there's no proof.
Yeah.
There's literally no
No
proof.
proof.
There's no photographic evidence. There's no DNA evidence. Everybody's just saying that it's a bear of some kind. There was for a while a belief or a theory that it was some type of bear that was supposed to have gone extinct.
Yeah, I read that too.
300,000 years ago.
The most realistic theory I heard was it's one of the types of bears, because there's two bears that live in that area. One of them, so the older bears, they tend to roam on the ground, and sometimes they roam on the ground like bipedal, and they kind of shuffle their feet so it makes their foot look bigger
Than it actually is.
and I don't know why it came up, but I guess the younger ones, they stay up in trees because
Okay.
they're scared of the ones on the ground.
They're scared
No,
of the
that's
shuffling
legit
ones?
what I read, so
I
I
believe
don't.
it.
So that's the explanation for the footprints. Although I felt like I heard a couple years ago that the elevation that they're finding these footprints on are like way too high for
For
wildlife.
bears and stuff.
Like even trees don't even grow up there. So
You know, so there's two types of bears, and there's a third one.
Is this going to be a joke?
Yes.
yeah, okay,
I just saw this joke. It's really dumb, but I want to say it, so goddamn it, I'm gonna say it.
okay,
It's my goddamn podcast.
okay.
So
Eli?
there's the shuffling bears and the tree baby bears, and we're in the Himalayas, in between Nepal and Tibet. There's Buddhist religions, and yoga is a part of Buddhism.
Okay.
And a teacher in yoga is called a yogi.
Yogi
Yogi
bear.
bear.
There's a yogi bear.
I was sitting there for like a good minute trying to figure out a good way to say it. I even had to Google to make sure that it would work.
Oh, man.
That's
So, in conclusion, there's no proof.
there's no evidence.
One more theory I might just throw
Yeah,
out there.
sure.
I found, I think we mentioned this, or we didn't mention this, we were talking about this before the podcast, about the parameters of what we should study for a Yeti.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh man, Yeti, interdimensional being from another dimension.
Okay.
And I found this article.
Oh no. There's an actual article about this. Oh no.
Well, it mentions a certain kinds of wormholes, theoretically, and maybe we'll do an episode where we talk about Bigfoots and stuff, because this is more predominant of Bigfoots. But
Right.
people say that when there's Bigfoots around, sometimes there's UFO activity, and the theory is that the UFOs are jumping in and out of dimensions, creating wormholes, and out of those wormholes come different kinds of creatures, namely Bigfoots.
Yeah.
And the theory is that because there's no proof of the Yeti, it keeps like drastically changing, coming in and out. People see it in the mountain, and then the next thing it's gone in an area where it's like intraversible. It's because there's a wormhole that's been opened up. A Yeti has come through a different dimension, is escaping around, and falls back into that hole before anyone can find it.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I figured stuff like that would come up for the Yeti, but it didn't. So
I had
Alex found it.
Yeah, I was
Alex
like, you know what?
found it,
I was looking through all this Yeti stuff, and I'm like, where is the interdimensionalness? And so I guess, do you guys want to cite our sources for this episode?
Wikipedia.
Well, like I said earlier, I did. I got a lot of information from National Geographic. Found some articles on BBC, and then there was some other kind of cryptozoology sites that I read. There was a very biased and very interesting website I read when researching the whole Nazi thing. So I don't know if I want to cite that.
Okay.
But I think I had a good balance of like scientific, actual stuff, and then all of our fun theories.
I like that.
But I think Alex asked this question because he wants to tell you about the book he got recently.
I got a book, and I know we're coming to the closure of this episode, but I went to a bookstore called the Iliad.
Shout out.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe we can get some sponsorship or something because we name dropped them.
I doubt it.
But I found this book for $4, and it was published in 1975.
Hey,
Wow.
that's pretty lit.
And it's called The Supernatural: Monsters and Mythic Beasts. And on the cover, it's got like krakens and mermaids and Bigfoots and a picture of King Kong for some reason.
Does it? Wait, does it really?
Yeah, old school King Kong picture.
Holy shit! What?
And on the back is a picture of a pentagram with the devil's head in it. And I was walking around on my way to work, and I had this book with me, and people kept like staring and like.
They thought you were a Satanist?
Yeah, but this book is pretty cool. It's got so I got a lot of stuff here about the Yeti that like I couldn't find online. And my favorite little thing to end the episode on, if I will.
Well, I've got a couple things to add before we end, but
Oh,
yes.
okay. Well, this will be my closure of the episode. It has been stated that there is also a female of the Yeti species.
Oh, okay.
Called a Yeta?
Yeta. And the Sherpas say that the Yeti women are hampered by the size of their breast.
What?
One investigator of the creatures was told by a Sherpa, "We followed the track of two Yeti. They were both females. Their breasts were so large they had to throw them over their shoulders before they bend down."
Oh,
What the hell?
And that was from 1976, book I got for $4.
That shit is so wild.
well,
So there you go. Inconceivable proof that there are two types of Yetis.
one of the things that I read talked about, I don't even know how to phrase this. They were just basically saying that the Sherpa people and these people in the Himalayas, they have these stories and these myths about these legendary creatures and stuff. And the problem was that us Westerners took them too seriously. Like, we didn't appreciate the, like, imagination
The
and
mythology of it, yeah.
of it, and we meaning all of these people who've gone on the expeditions, decided that it had to be proven and that it had to, like, go and find the Yeti and things like that. So perhaps one of the most remarkable aspects of the Yeti legend is that Western science took on its potential existence as an actual hypothesis to test. So
Yeah, they were like, people started showing up and they're like, let's find this thing. They're like, whoa, bro, this thing ain't even real.
I know.
So it's basically like if you've read like Grimm's fairy tales and like there's a prince out there that is in the shape of a frog.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it our life mission to find it, and you just start trekking through swamps left and right to find the frog prince.
Pretty much. But thanks for listening to this week's episode.
Yeah, thanks for listening. I guess we should do the whole who we are on the online
Yeah.
multiverse, I guess.
Yeah.
we'd call
Merry
it.
Christmas, mother effers.
Hey now.
Yippee-ki-yay.
I toned it down.
Yeah, you censored yourself. I'm proud. So, I am Alex Daikaiju. You can find me at Alex Daikaiju on Twitter and Instagram. Send me a tweet or message me, and I'll probably get back to you because I only have like 4 followers right now on Twitter. So I need someone to talk to.
You can follow me on Twitter at JasmineMayW. That's JasmineMaew. tweet at me and tell me if you went to go see the movie Smallfoot when it came out, because I thought that was a hilarious concept for a movie.
I wanted to go watch it.
I think it won't be out by the time this episode airs, I'm sure, but it's still currently out as of November 13th, I believe.
Why you gotta pull the curtain that far back?
I mean, you can edit it out if you want.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Now we gotta create real time travel so we can rewind and fix that.
My little Twitter thing is at EJ Workshop. You can find me there. I have, I think, 41 followers.
Ooh, big spender.
I just would like to point out, since we're all telling our follower
Yeah,
counts.
you don't need to do that,
no,
Jasmine.
Okay, yeah, don't.
I won't. But thank you for listening.
It's like over 1,000.
Thank you for following.
Thanks.
Hope you
Thanks for
enjoyed.
listening. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week when we talk about something weird.
Something snowy too.
Oh yeah.
Merry Christmas.